The winds of change are officially upon us. Netflix and Warner Brothers agree on a sale on this episode of Beyond the Screen, this emergency episode of Beyond the Screen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Beyond the Screen. I'm your host, Ryan, and with me, as always, my match, just in a different color, Jake Holtzcall, the hoodie plaid, or not plaid, what is this? What would you call this?
A white boy combo.
There you go. Yeah. We have the white boy combo going on, both of us. We didn't plan this. We just hopped on as an emergency pod. We both looked at each other like, hey.
Yeah.
But anyway, usually this is where I go, Jake, what's going on? But we don't got
I'll tell you what's going on.
Yeah. We don't got time for our personal business because the film business is booming today. As you heard from the lead-in, the craziest thing that could have happened officially transpired at about 1 o'clock last night, but it took effect at about 9 a.m. this morning. So we're going to go and give you the news. We're going to read right through everything that's going on. I have 9 sources for one story, which has got to be a record for Beyond the Screen anything up to this point in the year we've done this. So
not ever outside of Beyond. Nobody
uses
sources anymore.
Right. Fake news.
I saw it on TikTok.
Yeah, right. But no, we're going to read you through. I'm going to go through the first amount of details and give you kind of what's going on, what people are saying, and we're going to talk about what this means, at least from our perspective, which probably means nothing to a lot of people, but we're going to do it anyway. So the two sides, that being Warner Brothers and Netflix, have entered a definitive agreement, seeing Netflix acquire all of the Warner film and television studios, as well as HBO Max and HBO as a production company. Netflix will acquire the studio with a stock transaction valued at $27.75 per Warner's share, meaning the total enterprise value of Warner Brothers is around $82.7 billion, with an equity value of around $72 billion. With this deal, each Warner Brothers shareholder will earn $23.25 per share, with a $4.50 in shares, or quote, shares of Netflix common stock for each share of Warner Brothers Discovery common stock outstanding at the closing of the transaction, which is an official statement from Netflix. So essentially, they're paying out the current Warner Brothers shareholders with $23.25, and they're filling in the gap of what they're paying for it with Netflix stock. Is kind of like the whole kit and caboodle in a very quick way of saying that. The big kicker, this acquisition will not go through until after Warner and Discovery separate into two independent companies in Q3 of next year. So we will have about 13 or 12 to 18 months-ish before anything truly happens, or truly anything is finalized, rather. Discovery Global, when it is split, will contain, quote, CNN, TNT Sports in the U.S., and Discovery, free-to-air channels across Europe, and digital products such as Discovery Plus and Bleacher Report, etc., and that's from Netflix's own official PR statement. According to Netflix, the deal was approved unanimously by the boards of each company. David Zaslav will continue to run the company, that is Warner Brothers, until the keys are officially handed over to Netflix if the deal happens, and we'll get into why if, very, very key wording there, if. Later, we'll get into why that is said like that. But just off the rip, that's the very basic, quick information, right? The sale's gone through, what Netflix is paying to buy it, how things are going to happen if they happen. What do we think?
Are you happy you might not ever have to deal with David Zaslav again?
It's kind of like
double-edged sword.
Right. It's like I don't have to say David Zaslav's name, but I feel like Ted Sarandos and Greg Peters are just going to take his place with my hatred, because it's like David Zaslav has long been sleazy and has been like, and I'm going back to like Coyote versus Acme, and like even when we talked about this original split of Discovery and Warner, whenever they were discussing that and they were figuring everything out, some of the verbiage insinuated, or maybe even straight out outright said, I don't remember because it's been so many months ago, that the Discovery side was just going to get all of the loan that they hadn't paid, all of their debt, and Zaslav was just going to run off with the fun side, that is the film, TV, and HBO side, with no debt at all, and just run away. So that just felt super sleazy to me. I felt like he's the reason that Warner Brothers is in this position. I truly believe that. He's been there since 2018, maybe earlier than that, and that's been, yes, COVID's a thing, but also the guy was there before and after, and it hasn't done well before or after, with the exception of this year, which is why they sold, right? But there's a lot more as to why it's probably not a great thing that Netflix is the one to get it, but we'll get into that later. But continue with any trains of thought before we move on to the rest of this.
Let's see what else we got here. Yeah, so Netflix wants no part in Discovery. That's
apparently not.
It's like a redheaded stepchild. It's kind of like,
Yeah, right.
You keep it.
Well, again, like in that redheaded stepchild is CNN, TNT Sports, which just lost the NBA. I wonder if Zaslav was able to keep the NBA, I wonder if TNT would have been within some of that Warner Brothers stuff, because now it has hockey and it has some college sports, like I think football, but it doesn't really have as much as it used to. NBC and Comcast won the NBA very recently. That's why it's no longer on TNT. But like, the thing that interests me the most about the whole global side of things is that is a worldwide thing, as you saw in Europe. Like a lot of free to air channels in Europe are just going to Discovery.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it's a good point to
I don't want
to
touch CNN with a pole anyway, like a 6-foot pole.
Right. 10-foot pole, as my dad used to say. I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah, even more so. But
yeah,
as Netflix, I was like, I don't want to get into this.
Well,
sports or news.
They do some sports, but they don't do any news, from what I understand. Like they now do the WWE. They've done some live boxing. They've had a small array trying to get into.
They failed, didn't they?
They have some NFL. The boxing was terrible, but the end.
Right, I remember that. Like Netflix had it, and then it completely flopped because they couldn't support the amount of viewership.
Right. I think the NBA has some yes. I think so. It was Jake Paul. But I'm pretty sure that the NBA has some airing, or maybe it's the NFL on the Christmas Day games. One of the two major sports leagues in America, that is the NBA or the NFL, has a game coming on later this month on Netflix. Again, WWE is doing well. They've been there for almost a year. But the point is that they do live sports. They don't do CNN. And the fact that they do live sports or are trying to do live sports and they decided not to touch TNT, I think says a lot. But I digress. Other details. According to USA Today, Netflix's nearly $28 per share bid, quote, eclipsed Paramount's $24.5 per share bid. But later in the same article said that David Ellison and company are offered $30 per share today. So after everything broke, according to, and now USA Today was citing CNBC. So after everything was breaking, CNBC reported today that actually it wasn't the final offer at 24.5. It was 30, which obviously is a lot more than 27.75. But just earlier this week, keep that in mind, if that is true, Ellison alleged that Warner Brothers was giving, quote, favorable treatment to Netflix, which I kind of think that's, I don't know. I think it's funny. It's like the guy's like, well, they're talking to them more than they're talking to me.
Is that necessarily illegal? I don't privy think so. To business dealings and acquisitions.
I don't want to act like I know anything about that. I don't know. I don't think it's illegal. How dare you talk to the people you want to sell to more than me? That's kind of how
I offered you more. You have to choose me.
Right. Like that's how it sounds. That's how it reads.
I mean, on Marketplace, that's not how it works.
Yeah, right.
Sometimes I can offer somebody more and they still don't do it.
Well, I think that's just, it's not just, I mean, in a lot of sense, it is like take stock and get as much as you can. But other times it's like, I don't want to sell to you. I do not like you. And I'm not going to give you my services or my whatever product. So, but I thought that was pretty funny how that was phrased, because again, I like to make the joke. Now, I make the joke. I do not hate the Ellisons. I want to make that clear. I make the joke that David is kind of like a spoiled brat because he goes to his dad, Larry, anytime he needs anything, and his dad usually pays one of the wealthiest individuals in the world as the owner of Oracle. But it is funny that he's like, me and my dad offered more, and they're going to there. Like it sounds funny if it just from how it reads in these articles. It cracks me up. But anyway, something else to note, and the reason I kind of say that is because James Cameron made the point on the Town with Matthew Bellani podcast that he felt that Ellison, of whom he worked with on a Terminator film, was the best option for a Warner sale. He outright said that on air. And what's funny is we reported on that same interview, but never in those articles that we had referenced did they mention that he said that.
Right. So
Only after we caught it afterwards.
you have to think about, like, with the favorable treatment, like oftentimes if it's your company that you started, which Zaslav and the board members likely didn't start Warner Brothers, but you generally want to see the company go to somebody you trust and wants it to flourish. And to James Cameron's point, he believes that is Paramount, not Netflix. As a director and creator, he does not think Netflix will stand by their theatrical release promises and things like that we'll get into later. So I find it, you can't even say that like that was the reason. You can't even say that that they thought that Netflix was going to carry on a legacy, or they were going to carry on the ideas that Warner Bros. Stood for. No, there was it. And if it's true that they were offered $30 per share, which is $2.25 more, it wasn't really money either. So what could it be besides what Ryan's point is? They just said, screw the Ellisons.
Yeah. And my like, I'm trying to think of like playing devil's advocate one with Cameron is like maybe in his mind where, because you got to remember too, Skydance before it merged with Paramount worked with Paramount on a lot of their IP. Like they'd been working together a lot before they ever bought it. And secondarily, if you have a person who already has adapted or has like absorbed one of these legendary centuries old production companies like Paramount, maybe if you're Cameron, on top of they're committed to the full theatrical releases, that is the better option because they've done it before and they're committed to the theatrical experience. As we talked about on Monday, that's what his main objective is at all times. So, like, for him, I can understand why. And again, who's to say, going back to the devil's advocate, who's to say that maybe they did offer $30 a share, but it was less per shareholder? So say it was like, we're offering $30 a share for the entirety of the company, but we're only giving you $22 per shareholder, right? And like, maybe for them, for the shareholders of Warner, who have to ultimately are the ones in the board who approve the sale, maybe for them it was like, we don't know those numbers. We don't know.
Which we saw that they got some stock in Netflix at whatever dollar amount, and so that would be. There are other things in this deal besides just what the stocks dollar per share was. So maybe Netflix had sweetened the deal in numerous different ways.
It's that or
free subscriptions for life.
You will always be able to watch Netflix forever. And they're like, no
Sign me up. You can keep the stock. Keep the stock.
Yeah.
Keep the stock, man.
You keep your $4.50 of stock.
Yeah, we'll send Millie Bobby Brown to your house.
No.
You keep that too.
I do not do that.
Actually, I will sell to Paramount if you do that.
I'm calling David right now. Don't insult me. But no, we're being very sarcastic. And also I want to preface at 13 minutes in, we are not marketing, well, Jake is a marketing professional, but we're not business professionals per se. Like we are not like the people to go to ask like what these deals all entail, or like, so we're going at it from, we enjoy film. We have degrees in film. Jake works in marketing. I work in multimedia. So it's like, and Jake also does work in multimedia. We work together on a lot of stuff, as you've heard if you're a longtime listener. The point is that like we have our perspective. We're just giving you the facts on the things that we don't know about that from the sources.
You can still come and ask us about business stuff. We don't know what we're talking about, buddy. Yeah, just don't take anything to heart and bet your entire life savings on it.
Right. But now that that's out of the way, now that after we've talked strict number and we have given that caveat of like, look, we are reading back and understanding what is said in the articles. We are not the professionals. We're just giving our opinions on things that we don't really know a lot about in terms of the business, but we do know about Paramount and Netflix and Warner Brothers and the Ellisons. But anyway, moving on. This sale would solidify Netflix as the streaming giant, putting it past Disney, or at least on par with Disney, putting it out of reach of the Ellisons and so on, even Amazon, right? But not just in America, but the world. Netflix already is the streamer of the world, but now you add on HBO Max, which was its biggest, or arguably its biggest competitor. Now there is no competing with Netflix in its reach, which a lot of people are calling problems with. Again, we'll get to that in a second.
It's Netflix and Disney really at this
Yeah.
point. I mean, Disney has Hulu. Like it doesn't even Hulu doesn't compare, but it is. I feel like that.
Oh, this is
Those two.
the closest thing, or this might even be bigger. I think it might. I actually will put money on it. It is bigger than Disney buying Fox. Like this is bigger than that. Like, but it's the only thing you can compare it to. Is like you could say Paramount and Skydance, but Skydance wasn't really huge. It was big, but it wasn't big until it bought Paramount. Disney buying Fox was a lot closer to this, but this is on a whole different scale. But anyway, according to the Hollywood Reporter, quote, Netflix says the buy would give users more choice and let it, quote, optimize its plans. It also expands its studio operations while creating better value for talent and shareholders with $2 to $3 billion in annual cost savings. How do you think they're going to get to those cost savings, Jake?
Profits are going to go up.
Well, they're going to probably fire people, and that's another point later. But Netflix continued in their PR by making a pitch to creators. Also, according to the Hollywood Reporter, quote, by uniting Netflix member experience and global reach with Warner Brothers' renowned franchises and extensive library, the company will create greater value for talent, offering more opportunities to work with beloved intellectual property, tell new stories, and connect with a wider audience than ever before. Something I have been leaving out up to this point is the fact that if this is shot down, we're going to get into the antitrust scrutiny right after this. This is a great segue. If the government, as Jake says, steps in and says, no, Netflix, antitrust law, you can't do this, Netflix still owes Warner Brothers $6 billion in a breakup fee.
Ha!
So them just agreeing to the purchase, Warner, even if they come out of next year still owning themselves, being independent, they will still have made a net profit of $6 billion just from having agreed to do it. So that's not $83 billion, but they're still getting a little something.
They're not going to give it to Discovery either.
No. You mean their debt bank? Oh, yeah, you guys stay over there. This is ours.
Yeah, I'm going to sit on this.
Please, Father, give me a morsel. No, this is mine.
Oh.
Anyway, hey, there are a lot of probable antitrust scrutinies flying about. Everyone's screaming antitrust when this went out earlier this morning. With this type of purchase, naturally comes the powers that be, as both the United States government and those governing abroad will more than likely, again, heavily scrutinize the deal. This purchase would add HBO Max's 120 million subscribers to Netflix's 300 million fan base or subscriber base across the world. And a reminder, the aforementioned Paramount and Ellison family have long held a close relationship with President Trump and the government that would have to approve the sale. So there's a ton going against Netflix, even after they have agreed in principle with Warner Brothers to make this happen. Netflix argues that this deal is the deal for pro-consumer, pro-innovation, pro-worker, pro-creator, and pro-growth opportunities. Yet, Ross Benez, or I think it's Benez, a senior analyst for research firm eMarketer, argued that eMarketer, argued the opposite via USA Today, stating, quote, despite whatever the company says, this is not a win for consumers. Netflix has already aggressively raised prices, increased ad load, and stopped people from sharing passwords. Absorbing a competitor with strong content will only lead to its service becoming more expensive and give consumers less choice. This is the pattern of large-scale industry consolidation and deregulated media, which is, again, Benez and USA Today. While this deal was being hammered out just yesterday, a reported anonymous group of filmmakers sent an urgent letter to Congress from both sides of the aisle, so both Republicans and Democrats got all these letters. This letter explained that Netflix would, quote, destroy the theatrical industry and that the company would, quote, effectively hold a noose around the theatrical marketplace. And that's according to Variety. So going into that theatrical worries and those theatrical worries, it is also being reported that the Directors Guild of America, or the DGA, is planning a meeting with Netflix to discuss, quote, significant concerns among the guild regarding the company's plans for Warner Brothers' future theatrical releases, because there's a lot of plans post-2026 for long time, like not 10 days, not 30 days, but long-term theatrical releases that the guild is worried Netflix is going to just get rid of if they do end up getting the purchase. Mind you, the current president of said guild is Christopher Nolan, who also worked with Warner Brothers a lot before leaving for Universal in 2021 or 2. On top of that, both the Writers Guild of America and SAG-AFTRA have both condemned the sale. Specifically, if I remember correctly, the Writers Guild not pleased. They were talking in, I'm going to quote, but I'm going to give it with a light quote because I can't remember exactly. I meant to put it in here and I completely forgot. But that this is what antitrust laws were built for. Exactly this reasoning is why you have antitrust laws, so Netflix doesn't buy Warner Brothers, was their point. While the industry has a collective concern over just how the streaming giant will change the legacy brand's strategy towards these types of theatrical releases, Netflix itself has maintained that films under the Warner Brothers brand will continue to find its way into theaters for longer than the traditional Netflix to theater routine of a 10-day release window. Again, we talked about it on the last pod. The reason for that short window is because that is the slimmest amount of time you could put a movie in theaters to qualify for Oscars. Right? So people were like, no, Warner Brothers movies, the Batman 2, all of these are going to be all on just 10-day release windows, on limited theaters, just to go back to HBO or Netflix. However, CEO Ted Sarandos has described how his company will look at a more consumer-friendly model. His full statement is, quote, "It's not like we have this opposition to movies into theaters. My pushback has been mostly in the fact of the long exclusive windows, which we don't really think are that consumer friendly. But when we talk about keeping HBO operating largely as it is, that also includes their output movie deal with Warner Brothers, which includes a life cycle that starts in the movie theater, which we're going to continue to support." What does that mean? What?
It's going to be shorter.
Right. We love the theaters. We just don't think that they're very consumer friendly
or profitable.
What a way to roundabout try to disprove something and at the same time prove the exact same thing people were worried about.
Yeah.
That's like you calling me hypocritical and saying, "No, I just sometimes say the exact opposite of what I mean now."
We're going to do 11 days.
Yeah. Don't worry, guys. We hear you. How about one more day?
We'll let you have Sunday.
Jeez, dude. That makes me so mad. But anyway, I read that and again, the dude went in a circle. It's like watching NASCAR. He started at one spot, said, no, 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 and then rounded back to the way he started, just in a different set of verbiage. Anyway, there are a lot of quotes from the rest of Netflix's PR. I'm going to read them to you so you guys can have it. We'll discuss those a little bit as well. But, but continuing with Sarandos, he said, quote, "Our mission has always been to entertain the world. By combining Warner Bros.' incredible library of shows and movies, from timeless classics like Casablanca and Citizen Kane to modern favorites like Harry Potter and Friends, with our culture-defining titles like Stranger Things, K-pop Demon Hunters, and Squid Game, we'll be able to do that even better. Together, we can give audience more of what they love and help define the next century of storytelling." Continuing, he states, quote, "I know some of you are surprised that we are making this acquisition, and I certainly understand why. Over the years, we have been known to be builders, not buyers. We already have incredible shows and movies and a great business model, and it's working for talent. It's working for consumers, and it's working for shareholders. But this is a rare opportunity, and it's going to help us achieve our mission to entertain the world and to bring people together through great stories." Greg Peters, who we talked on the show, straight up said, "I don't know why people are wanting Paramount, because even though you have the IP, don't mean you can tell the story." I don't think he's got that kind of accent, but he literally made the exact point that Sarandos was making about, yeah, we're builders. That verbiage was used explicitly by Greg Peters not 2 months ago to describe why he didn't think Netflix would be in the sale for Paramount. Now they've, at this point, emerged victorious. Greg Peters says, quote, who's co-CEO of Netflix, by the way, quote, "This acquisition will improve our offering and accelerate our business for decades to come. Warner Brothers has helped define entertainment for more than a century and continues to do so with phenomenal creative executives and production capabilities. With our global reach and proven business model, we can introduce a broader audience to the worlds they reach, giving our members more options, attracting more fans to our best-in-class streaming service, strengthening the entire entertainment industry, and creating more value for shareholders." Which, again, I read something like they had, what did they say, our proven business model, of which they have said we don't do theatrical runs in that proven business model. Anyway.
I think what is better than improving the value for the shareholders? There's nothing better than that.
That's all. That's why they did it, is because they know they can make money.
That's like, I see all kinds of memes online where it's like, dude, why are you calling off work? Like, I know it's snowing outside, but think of the shareholders.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know. Before I make this point, because I think that you made it as well, or we were talking about it in the group chat whenever this kind of broke. The idea that what would HBO have right now? Sarandos says Max would stay the same. HBO Max would just stay the same. Their whole goal would be to keep it up. I doubt that. I think in like 3 years they're going to do the same thing Disney did with Hulu, where they're just going to sunset the app itself, but it'll be Hulu in Disney Plus that you can watch different types of shows. So you're going to see the same thing. It'll be like right now. I think HBO has is it Stars or it's Showtime. Showtime is within HBO as like like a certain service within the app. So if you subscribe, that whole thing, it'll be the exact same thing. It'll be the HBO side. They're going to kill Max, and it's just going to be like you're going to be scrolling through Netflix in 5 years if it goes through, and it's going to say HBO. And you watch that, and it'll just be the same. It'll be the same software. It'll be everything. But when and if this happens, IPs that Netflix would own include DC, Harry Potter, The Lord of the Rings, The Looney Tunes, Mortal Kombat, Scooby-Doo, Monsterverse, which is like Godzilla and King Kong, Game of Thrones, and cult classics like Blade Runner, Mad Max, Citizen Kane, and more, like Courage the Cowardly Dog, all of Cartoon
Smiling
Network.
Friends,
Smiling
like all
Friends,
of the Adult Swim stuff.
Yep, all of it, right to Netflix. In a world of uncertainty, one thing is for certain. Netflix has emerged as a front runner in what's being dubbed as the streaming wars. Like Netflix has, even with Disney, this puts Netflix the biggest threat to Disney, unequivocally, by far.
You think Disney will say something?
Huh?
You think Disney will say something?
Well, they'll probably lobby the government to say no, which, again, it's the same government that put Jimmy Kimmel on leave after Trump threatened, or Trump was like, they should get Kimmel off the air, and Disney was like, yeah, okay. Like, again, you asked me at the top, is like, do I feel bad, or am I happy that I'm not seeing David Zaslav? I don't know how to feel, to be honest with you, because there's no winning. What my ultimate hope was that Warner Brothers would decide not to sell, and that they would just be, they're independent because they made so much money this year. But there's probably a higher chance that they are never more profitable and more, like, their worth will not be higher, at least under David Zaslav, for however many years. So it's like they have the best year they've had under him, so they're like, let's sell. Like, it makes sense in terms of a business model if that's your goal. I don't know.
I just feel like that's like, for a company like that to sell, I never thought that would be the goal. It would like to continue competing, but I don't know.
Well, you get out of debt, even though you were already going to split most of it off. Not only do you get out of debt, but you get how much of that 83 billion or 72 billion in your pocket. I think that's probably what it was. Is the dude, how old is David Zaslav? He's probably close to retiring.
Is he late 60s?
Probably. He's an older man. How old is he?
Canceled.
Oh my gosh.
You looking it up?
Yeah, I am. He's 65. So he's right at retirement age. He's probably tired of hearing people call him incompetent. He's probably like, I'll never make more money than what I'm making now. And if we have a string of bad years, I will never be able to make as much money as I'll make now. I'm just going to be part of the sale and make money. So I guarantee that's what it is, because he's an old man. And so I don't know. There's no winning. There's no winning here. Either I think everything about the whole competition and like wages, everything is correct from every guild in America saying, hey, this is not great because X, Y, and Z. There's going to be that $2 to $3 billion cost cutting. That's because they're not hiring as many people. There's not as much competition, so they can pay less because who are you going to run to? You going to run to Disney? You going to run to Amazon? They're known for paying people, right? No, you're not. Like this really is the antithesis to everything that we're supposed to be as a the whole, in the industry anyway. Antitrust laws are a thing until they're not, and now. So this is probably going to be the one exception, is I think that you'll see Disney. You'll probably even see Jeff Bezos, to be honest with you. And then,
really?
Oh, why not? I mean, the guy, he's a Trump friend. Amazon Prime
Yeah.
is a direct competitor to Netflix. They know they're probably going to lose money if Netflix does end up acquiring Warner Brothers. And then on top of it, you have one of the richest men in the world outside of Jeff Bezos also lobbying with Paramount. You have Disney, Paramount, with Oracle, and Amazon all lobbying the same government to say, don't let this happen. In
Yeah.
theory, that's a theory. I'm not saying that that's all going to happen. We probably know, we know for a fact Ellison in that family is going to do it. I'm just education, or what's the word I'm looking for here? An educated guess on Disney and Amazon. But I think there will be a lot of people that do not want to see this go through.
I just don't know if it actually is a legal acquisition for the trust laws. Like I don't know enough about trust laws to
I don't either.
Buster, the monopoly buster, or whatever the Roosevelt was.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. This is kind of what I want to ask outside of, because again, we're not business professionals. We're not going to sit here and we can't go through the antitrust laws and we can't look at you and say this is exactly how the deal is going to be laid out. We can only surmise from what we know and what we've read. Let's imagine this does happen, because there are two possibilities. One, Netflix gets to keep Warner Brothers. What does that mean? And two, Netflix doesn't get to keep Warner Brothers, and what does Warner Brothers do? Right? Like there are two different paths that we can guesstimate. So let's ask the first one. Say Netflix gets to keep Warner. What's that mean?
Means my AT&T HBO subscription goes to the wayside in Q3.
Yep.
It means the only positive that I can possibly spin out of this is the fact that I will get 2-for-1 Netflix and HBO. But it won't. I'm basically, I pay my portion of my phone plan. It's cheaper because I'm on a family, and I'll have to now pay extra for Netflix and HBO, I guess.
Yeah.
But I was getting HBO in that plan for my phone bill, I guess. So I don't know. Convenience seems to be what they're after. And I guess it's convenient that one spot has all of my shows and movies, because I really only use HBO. Like I'm pretty anti-subscription. I don't like recurring charges.
Mm-hmm.
That's just my philosophy. I don't like when it hits every month, even if it's $12.99 or $6.99. I don't know. It eats at me. I would rather pay month to month, really. And that's just a personal. I don't even do like auto internet or auto electric. I don't do that. Like I don't want it hitting my account. I want to know. I want to have my finger on that pulse. I'm going to pay my electric every month. It's not like, but I'm not going to let it run and let them charge my account without me knowing.
Yeah, you want to be the one to hit the button, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and most subscriptions now, it's just like you pay, you click it once, and that's why people are locked into a Netflix subscription or a Planet Fitness subscription or anything, and they just let it run. They just forget about it because life is so full of things more important to worry about than $12 that month. But guess where you're at in 3 years?
Yeah,
hundreds of dollars are poofed away, and you watched 2 days worth of film or TV. So yeah, if I came home and watched Netflix every single day, sure. I don't, but I guess that's the only positive I can pull out of it is if AT&T keeps their deal, then yeah, I have no problem with paying my phone bill and getting Netflix and HBO bundled. I don't know if Netflix will be included in that deal. Like you had said, sunsetting HBO, like they are Hulu. Hulu's not absorbed by Disney yet either.
That's going to be in spring,
right? So you can still watch through Hulu. I wonder if the AT&T deal will go with the streaming app. I don't know.
You would hope that they'd grandfather that, but there's a lot of different things that kind of run through my head whenever I think about something like this. Like one, every time Netflix makes a statement, there is a exact counter, either done by somebody who's like a reputable analyst that we've discussed, or by Netflix themselves, whether it's Sarandos or Peters or whatever. That makes me really concerned when they're like, yeah, we don't hate theaters. We just think it should be more consumer friendly, which means get it to Netflix as soon as possible so they can watch at home, which in their mind is more accessible and more user friendly. My big thing is like, again, it's competition. It's like, because who can compete with these companies? On top of it, we talked not long ago about how the Paramount decree was removed 2 or 3 years ago, which essentially barred production companies from also owning distribution and also owning theaters. So it's like you couldn't own every phase of the movie releasing experience. That's gone.
Yeah.
What happens if theater chains, let's say they don't buy the theater chains, because I doubt AMC, Cinemark, and all of them are going to just sell, but let's say those 3 chains AMC, Cinemark,
it might if they start hurting.
Regal. Well, let's say that they're like, hey, we make a lot more money from Netflix, from Disney, and name a third one, right? Like Amazon doesn't really release to theaters all that much, but you get the point. A24, you're out of luck because they're going to sell those spots to the people they're going to make money from. So then you have to go through and have a distribution right with those bigger companies. Who then will turn around. And then at that point, it's like, well, why don't we just sell to them so we get more money anyway, like we can get the most out of it because we have to make deals with them to even get into theaters. Like, that's my worry. Now, again, that's kind of like doomsday-esque thought. Like, that's not necessarily something that I think is like leaning towards, but it is kind of a worry. It's like, if you have 2 or 3 chains that or 2 or 3 production houses that own everything, and they're the ones who are making these companies the biggest money, Neon, right? A24, Focus Features, like, or Universal was the one I was thinking of. Who's to say that AMC will say, you know what, we only want movies from these 3 production houses because they're the ones that make money? How many times have we talked about A24 will put out movies and they will not be profitable because they're focused on the awards season? They don't care if they make money. So then all of a sudden they're just not going to be in theaters unless they have a distribution right with one of the higher end, like Disney or Universal or whatever. So it's like, that's kind of me, again, doomsday, very much tinfoil hat with that, but that is a legit worry whenever the law that prevented stuff like that is no longer a thing. Right. So that's a big worry, but I don't know. I have a fear, one, with all the IPs that we're currently seeing with HBO, specifically the DCU. I think James Gunn has done fantastic. I know that's not everybody's opinion, but like, I know a lot of people do agree with that too. He's done well. I think David Cornsweet is a fantastic Supes. I'm interested to see what Matt Reeves continues to do with the Elseworlds. I'm interested to see where the Peacemaker story arc goes, potentially the Justice League or Super Friends. I've heard the internet surmising that it might not be Justice League yet. The Brave and the Bold. Like, where are these going? It just started. Do you think Netflix is just going to allow James Gunn to keep doing the same thing?
I think it's a
50-50 shot, right? Who knows? The other thing is, HBO has a Harry Potter series coming out that's supposed to go for the next 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
That's
they're short up till 29, but that's not
through HBO.
Series. That's through theatrical releases. They're obligated till 2029, right?
Yes, theatrical releases.
Not TV series.
Right.
Yeah.
So, the thing is, they're shored up, but if James Gunn gets let's go, do you think there's no way, you know what I mean? Like, that's just not possible. So, I don't know. I have a lot of worries with the IP. Like, there are other series that I really like The Pit. Like, how will The Pit be influenced or changed? How will Smiling Friends change?
Oh, Smiling Friends might leave. Like, I don't know where they would go after that. Is there a streaming platform that allows them to be the way they are besides Adult Swim?
I don't know. I don't know.
Pretty dang raunchy.
Comedy Central's owned by Paramount. Maybe Paramount will let, because they allow South Park. Maybe they could jump up. But then again, we're back where we started. It's like they're going from one superpower to the other because that's the only place they can go. A24 is not going to be interested in that. Neon doesn't have a subscription service. I don't think A24. I'm pretty sure has a deal with HBO. So,
they do.
So it's like we're already kind of seeing that, but it's just getting worse.
Yeah.
I think this is a big problem. I think it's a big problem, the fact that Warner's trying to sell. I think that it's a big problem that we only have 2 bad options. There's no good option if Warner Brothers does decide. I don't understand, if only there was a world where, it's not that I don't understand, I get it. If only there was a world where Zaslav could just get bought, like his contract's bought out and they're like, you're fired, we're going to bring in a new CEO with the success we've had. And they bring in somebody who's actually passionate, who actually kind of knows what they're doing and actually has a good idea for what the business should be. yes, in a world of streaming, but also theatrical. But they won't do that.
Is your 40-minute rant?
You ranted a lot too.
You feel like you got it out, Ryan?
You got it out as well. Don't act like I sat here and yammered for 40 minutes. We, ladies and gentlemen, I think that kind of wraps up our HBO. That's all we got. Like that's really like as
all the
minutes,
information that came out today, at least, or within the past 12 hours.
Oh yeah, as the minutes tick by, more and more stories are happening.
Yeah.
Like 2 hours ago, the New York Times, Netflix changes course again with Warner Brothers. 2 hours ago, Variety, would Donald Trump try to block Netflix takeover of yes, probably. But it's like all these things are happening as we speak. So there's probably information that either by the time this is recording or well after that'll come out. We've probably missed already. So we are just going through what we have at 7 at night on December 5th. But yeah, I think what is a positive is we're probably not going to see this go through. But then the immediate negative after that is probably going to turn around and sell to Paramount, which, according to James Cameron, would probably be the best deal. But we're still in the same problem we are with Netflix. If anything, if Paramount sells, and now, well, actually, hold on. Sorry, side tangent here, because I'm just thinking about this. They have to wait till after the breakup of Warner. Because of how Warner's done this, there's no way that Paramount can get a hold of Discovery unless Discovery sells independently after, which I don't think Paramount would want. Like, why would you want to go get them if they're not already a part of the same company, right?
Yeah.
Because that's just going to be so much more money.
Yeah.
So my big concern, and the reason why I was so against Paramount, is because I don't want the same company owning two of the biggest news outlets in America, whether or not you believe in like traditional news like that anymore. But like the fact that a family close to a certain president, and it could be any president, it doesn't have to be Donald Trump. If Joe Biden was this close with a certain person and they were trying to buy multiple news outlets, I would be the exact same level of freaked out. But it's like CNN and CBS News, both owned by the same person, the same company. I don't like that. I think that's real weird. That's where you get real bad stuff happening. But next fall, when this goes through and when Netflix will probably, when it comes up and the FCC has to approve or deny the sale, it'll already be too late. Discovery Global will be its own company. So if they're denied and Paramount decides to buy, they can only, in theory, right? Like that, I'm surmising here, that would have to be, because now that Netflix and Warner Brothers have a deal, they have to wait till after the sale before anything can be done. So maybe that would be, in that scenario, that is I still don't think it's great. It's still it's still kind of two evils you're deciding between, but at least CNN and CBS are not owned by the same company. In that instance.
We shall see.
We shall see.
I think you could, if you're arguing against the trust busting with Netflix, you can argue the same for Paramount. And I don't know if either would go through. I think if this was even flipped on its head, I think we'd still have the same conversation.
I because of the relationship, because it's been reported that Donald Trump wanted Paramount to have Warner Brothers. So if it is flipped, it would go through. Like we saw Skydance approve with Paramount. It was a very similar conversation, just at a now a much smaller scale. I doubt that Paramount would have any issues. But I will tell you, Netflix, I think they very much so will.
Yeah. We'll have more on Monday, likely.
Oh, yeah.
So tune in to that. We'll have, there'll be stuff over the weekend, no doubt. And we're watching movies this weekend, ain't we, Ryan?
Great transition, because I was going to lead us out with that. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are into the one and the only Jujutsu Kaisen and or Five Nights at Freddy's, which is a very niche audience now that I say that out loud.
I'm finding that Five Nights at Freddy's is not doing well, but keep
not
going.
with critics, but
no.
It's only Friday, so there's still a chance it could pull through.
Yeah.
We're going to be watching both Five Nights at Freddy's 2 and JJK Execution this weekend. Actually, that's what we're doing in about
2 hours.
Yeah, an hour and a half. We're going to be going to not together, unfortunately. I won't be able to see this.
At the same time, though, strangely enough.
That's kind of crazy, yeah. We were texting back and forth. We got to do an emergency pod. What time are you free? well, why go to the movies at 9? Oh, like it's like that weird. But anyway,
We're gonna be texting during the movie.
yeah.
Dude, do you see what's the lady who's on the ads? Maria
Oh,
Menounos.
yeah. Oh,
Or
yeah.
it depends on what movie theater you're in.
I'm at Cinemark.
I'm also in I'm in Cinemark. So.
Okay, good. I cannot stand the movie Maria Menounos. That's a whole other debate. There's one thing that she does where she's like asking a question. It's like a game, and the host or like the person she's asking says something, and she laughs, and she has the most annoying laugh. I used to live by a Shell when I was in college.
You'd hear it.
She would talk there too, and she'd laugh there too. So it was like I had to get gas regularly, and I loved going to the movies. And the only theater where we went to school at the time was a Cinemark. So I always heard Maria Menounos, and she'd always laugh like every time. So anyway,
Yep.
we're watching JJK. Tune in on Monday for us to kind of go over those. That'll be our main topic of discussion, the main story or major news. We'll be going over the key differences between all of them and kind of how they continue the stories. For us, both of us being fans of similar like types of content, a lot of other people, if you like one, you probably like the other as well. So we're going to discuss all that, including all the rest of the box office news and any fallout from what we're talking about right now. But yeah, we are going to go and watch a movie, and we will see you guys on Monday. So thank you guys for stopping by.
Love you. Bye.
Love you. Bye.